Hey everybody, welcome back to another Dice Tower review. My name is Zee Garcia.
I'm Milla Cleghorn.
Today we're going to be taking a look at 4 Humours here. This is an area control connection bluffing racing kind of game. It's a strange game in which you are putting out tokens on specific scene cards and trying to, when those things are revealed, be the one who controls that scene, because that lets you press some influence on a central board, okay? It's a little weird. I'm going to try and show you how the game works. Hopefully I do a decent enough job to get some of these ideas across to you, and then we're going to be right back and give you some final thoughts. Here we go. The game can be played in one of 2 different modes. Kingdom mode, which is what I'm going to be focusing on here, and fiefdom mode, which has no central map. Each player instead has one of these boards, and they will be using their tokens to fill in these and complete objectives that way. We're not going to go over that. We're going to worry about this kingdom mode here. So we've got our board randomly set up. We have these tiles here. Set up in a specific order, starting with the one at the top. The nunnery there is represented on this tile, then going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down here at the bottom, going down this way. We've also shuffled up the scenes, and we've put out 4 of these scenes, and we've got then some objectives up there. The players each are going to have 4 of these stars, as well as a bag filled with the tokens of their color, and you are pretty much ready to begin. The objective of the game is to put as many of your stars on those cards up here, the objectives, as possible. So if you get all 4, you can do each one once. If you get all 4, you have a very good chance of winning. If multiple players have the most, there will be some tiebreakers to deal with, of course, but that is the objective. So how do we get them up there? Well, they tell you the things you must do. So for example, this one here says a potion in each region. If you manage to do that and have a potion in each of these regions, then you are going to get a star up there. How do you put potions on regions? How do you make connections? It's all basically about putting your tokens on these spots here. So how do you do that? Well, you win these locations, these scenes. And the way you do that is by putting your tokens on these characters and then trying to win based on a logic that these characters and these specific symbols are going to follow that we'll get to in 1 second. Before we get to that, we need to see which regions are up for grabs. And the bottom of these cards will tell you that information. So for example, this scene here is a jousting tournament. You can tell from the corner here that it is in this location, and the jousting tournament is right there. So we're going to take one of these little plague doctors, and we'll put it there to remind us, hey, that's up for grabs to whoever wins this. We've got the same thing here. Gutenberg Publishing is going to be over here. And we've got the watchtower there. That's going to go here. And then the dungeon on the same region down here. So there we go. Those are the ones that are up for grabs. We've also got represented in this column what are called party scenes, which are these, the round table being there, the nunnery, the banquet hall. You can see that they are colored in differently. So those are won by the players going on to these. And when they resolve, hopefully you get to jump out on there. So let's take a look at one of the players' bags. In here are going to be a bunch of these tokens, and there are 4 different kinds. And they are named interesting things shown on your player right here, which I'll go ahead and go over. So choleric tokens are these. We've got sanguines with the hearts there and the blood. We've got melancholics, which have the book. And then we've got these, the last one are the phlegmatics. So those are the 4 different symbols that you're going to find in your bag, okay? And on your turn, you're going to have 4 of these tokens in your hand. You're going to place one out either to one of the scenes or one of these party scenes, and then you're going to draw back up to 4. And this will continue happening around the table until 2 of these 4 scenes are completely filled. At that point, we will resolve all the scenes by flipping everything face up. They will be hidden. Flipping everything face up and seeing who wins. And then if once that's all done, we'll check if anybody qualified for any of these. If that happens, they'll put their star out there. And for every star that goes out, we're going to resolve the top one of these. So let's say 2 players at the same time qualified. 1 player is here, 1 player is here. Well, we're going to resolve the nunnery here, see who wins that, and then we're going to resolve the round table and see who wins that. And both of these tiles are going to just go away, and we've got these 4 left. In fact, one of the game end conditions is when this entire column has been resolved, i.e. 6 stars have gone out, okay? So let's talk about what the breakdown is of the token hierarchy here. How do we win? Well, first, let me point out that every character you can see can take one of 2 things, okay? So this one, for example, you can do the yellow one, which is the choleric, or you can do the sanguine on that character. This one has those 2, this one has these 2, and so on. Every character can be one of 2 things. And by the way, the colors represented in the character in the drawing will help you see that even after that spot is covered up by a token, which it will be. So, what's the breakdown? Here we go. So, let me go ahead and set up one of these actually for the simplicity of explaining how it works, and then I think it'll make this a little bit easier to understand. So here is a completed scene, the dungeon, which we saw earlier, and we're going to say that, red player, for example, just placed this out on their turn, and this completes 2 of the 4 scenes. Some have only a few tokens on it, some might even be blank. But this, as soon as that happens and 2 of them are fully filled in, we are going to go into a resolution step. And so, we're going to take a look at this to help us resolve that. We're going to flip over all the tiles on here. And there is a method which we must follow in order to see who wins. So the first thing is, if there's a single choleric on that board, on that scene, they win. And we are immediately done. So, in this case, we have 2 of them. So there is not an immediate winner. We would continue on to the next category, okay? But if there was a single one, then that person wins. They go out onto the location on the board that is represented by this location. So in this case, dungeon. Say this is not that, but instead it was this. Well, a single choleric wins it. This player takes this, puts it onto the dungeon, face down, right here, and everybody else takes all their tokens and throws them back into their bag. Going back to our original example, however, there is not a single winner there, so we go on to the next step. 2 or more sanguines win. If that is true, and we've made it to that step, then all of those people win. In this case, we do indeed have 2, so blue and yellow would both win, and blue and yellow both are in the dungeon. So that works for both of them. Connections, what have you, any objective or goal you are trying to achieve. If there are not 2 or more of those, then we go on to the next step, which is 2 melancholics, okay? So let's switch this out here. We're going to give blue that instead. So 1 choleric, no. 2 or more sanguines, no. We continue. 2 melancholics are going to win, exactly 2. If that is not the case because there are 3 or more, we keep going. If there's a single melancholic, though, they sneak away, and then it says continue resolving. So what does sneak away mean? Sneak away means that instead of this person going to the dungeon, they sneak away from the dungeon, 1 away, following one of the paths. So perhaps they'll end up in the throne. So it's a good way to make it onto the board, just not exactly where you thought you were going to. You get to sneak away 1 and place your token out, and then we continue where all the phlegmatics, if we've made it this far down, they are going to win. So blue actually wins in this case. They go there, and again, everybody gets all their tokens, and they throw them back into their bags, okay? You will notice that, of course, the cholerics here are going to be winning quite a bit of the time, especially early in the game, but because the token that wins is removed from the board, or from your bag rather, and placed out onto the board, then the distribution is going to change. Slowly, it is easier for the sanguines to win, for the melancholics to win. Even the phlegmatics late in the game have a very good chance of winning because the rest of the tokens have been depleted from the player's bags. And so that's how that works. We're going to resolve 4 of those. Again, we then check if anybody puts a star out on one of these. Oh, hey, look at that. I have 4 scenes connected by a path or bridge. I'm going to put a star on that. And if that happens, then we resolve the top tile in the party column there. which behaves the same exact way as resolving a scene here. Same thing, and then that goes away. That's what you're doing. Once that's done, the 4 scenes we were fighting over here are going to go away. We're going to reveal 4 new scenes from the stack of scenes here. So perhaps we'll have that one with some animals, and I'll explain how that's different. Oh, here's another animal one. We will have, let's see here, Zealot's Stump. There we go. Only 3 people in that one. So some interesting dynamics there. And we do it again. And again, this continues until the game is over, and whoever has the most stars out is going to be the winner. The animals here, by the way they work is they show you a land location. So, for example, this board here is what they're showing you. But they don't represent a specific spot on that in that tile. So whoever wins this, an animal board, of which there are a few, gets to pick where they go. So it's up to you where you want to go if you win one of the animal locations, obviously within that land type, within that space. So that's how the game works. Hopefully that gives you an idea of the things you're trying to do, how you populate the board by winning these, make your token populate the board, get connections or get influence, and then put out the victory point stars here and try to have the most of those. That's it. Let's go ahead and go back up top. All right, there we go. So that is 4 Humours, everybody. This is one that I had seen before. In fact, I'd seen a little bit of a demo at a convention I'd been to. I forget which one, and I was interested in it. I thought it was an interesting looking game. I love the look of the game and the weird, bizarre, pseudo-medical science from a long time ago vibe to it. Yeah. I think it's a really neat setting. And then the artwork on top of that, I think, is a perfect fit. Right, because it has that, it feels like it fits the time. You know, the artwork, the limited color palette. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. There's that weird pseudo wood carving look to it. Yeah. Which is not that style, really, you know, but it does have that strange look. And then the whole 4 Humours thing being about you're like a medieval doctor, and this is the principle of medicine that they believed in. Apparently, I don't really know. Quacks, these traveling quacks. So it's a neat concept. It's a cool idea. Mm-hmm. So from that point of view, I was very interested. The gameplay, from what I understand and from what I've seen online, part of the design philosophy here is to encourage cooperation between the players. Maybe not cooperation, might be too strong a word. Negotiation. To encourage you saying to each other what you're putting down, lying, bluffing, trying to get somebody to do something. And, maybe if you and I both play the hearts, we can win together. Mm-hmm. In practice, I found that to just not be the case. Right, I think so. In the plays I've had, when that was tried, it kind of fell flat. I mean, there was one of the plays specifically where somebody did that, and it's like, all right, I was putting something else, like, hey, well, if you put that, then next time I'll play that. What did you put? And I'm like, why would I tell you? No, you know what I mean? Like, It just didn't really kind of fit. So even the attempts to do it just kind of fell flat, I think. It didn't really, especially in a multiplayer game, which I don't think it'd work as well in a 2-player game, but like in the multiplayer games, it's like, okay, well, yeah, we'll go for I think it was the Sanguines, is that what it is? The red ones. All right, well, then someone is just going to come in, because if we did go with that, then they're going to go with the... Whatever the top again, there's like no theme in this. The theme doesn't come through, right? And so just going to go with the yellow one, the choleric. And so it didn't really seem to work in those attempts to make it negotiation, bluffing kind of game. Yeah, I agree that part of the game did not come through for me. I didn't find that promise of a game about negotiation to pay off. Right. Which is a bit of an adjustment. It requires you to adjust a little bit what you expect. It does for me, because I'm the one who grabbed the game, read the rule book, did the research online. I was the one who was excited about that possibility, that back and forth, that little bit of a trickiness at the table. That's not there. Right. I think if anything, it came across more as, I don't want to say social deduction, because you're not trying to figure out people's roles, but it's the deduction of like, okay, well, if they put that there, then this was here, then that could have been that. So my best chance of winning here,
is to try and play this, and hopefully that comes. So it's more of deduction than it was. This talks as a game of wits and guts. I think that's more aligned. That wits of trying to figure out what it most likely is and to try to one up it.
Yeah.
It is more how it comes across.
And I did find that to be the case. I found that to be interesting. This idea of where do I play? Do I do I jump onto this scene that is starting to get crowded and the logistics are starting to get a little messy? It feels like 2 scenes are about to be done, so do I jump onto one that is basically not populated yet and I have a pretty good chance of winning that? I really like that. Probably, in fact, my favorite mechanism in the game is probably that when 2 scenes are filled out of 4, you resolve all 4. I loved that.
Yes, I agree. Because it really does kind of give you that decision space in that. Am I going to try to get in that fight over there? Do I think I already have it? Or only one person's over there. Hold on, which means it can't be these 2 to win. I'm going to jump on that thinking so-and-so's they're in that fight hard. They're going to end that card. I think that's fantastic. And I think they're, in all the plays, it's kind of, that becomes an aha moment for people playing this the first time. Like, oh, now I kind of see what I'm doing. And I think another aha moment comes later, the first time you resolve that. We always put on the right side of the board.
Yeah, they have a name, the something scenes, the special party tiles.
Okay, the special locations.
Yeah, the party tiles is what those called. Those are called the party scenes, and the party tiles tied to those scenes.
Yeah, the first time those come is another kind of aha moment. Unfortunately, that aha moment I don't think was as positive.
I agree. I thought those tiles that you resolve and they tie to the one highlighted area didn't seem that interesting. Right. It was okay. And I guess those areas are a little more important because they have more connections, because it's easier to translate those into the goals. But I do find that to be a mechanism that maybe didn't need to be there.
Because you don't know when it's going to happen. Because it's going to happen in correlation with when one of the goals are met. So you don't know when it's going to go off. So very early game, you're like, I don't know, I'm going to put that one up there.
Yeah.
And then half the time you're like, wait, what did I put up there? Am I already in that fight or not? So you don't know when it's going to go off. As well as if nobody gets it, nobody gets that location. And it's just gone. Which the bottom ones, maybe you can spread to it and stuff like that. And but you know when it's going to go off. And so you're in the fight or you're not, and you know how much it's going to affect it. Beginning game, you're still trying to kind of come up with a strategy. Okay, these are my goals. I need these locations. That's the most ideal location for that goal. You're trying to map this out.
Right.
And you really can't take into consideration those special locations because you might not get it and you don't know what's going to happen and you might already have it by then. It just kind of gets messy. It messes up that decision-making process.
Yeah, visually it looks good that when that column has run out, your game is over. That's one way in which the game ends, and it's the most likely way in which the game ends.
I think so.
It's almost never like the stack of scenes. It's a big old stack of scenes. That's not going to be it. It could be you running out of tokens from your bag. Because you do get close. Yeah. If you have a lot of tokens on scenes and on the board, you can get close to running out. But it's usually that column of party tiles running out. But I agree that mechanically, it's just not as interesting as flipping over the 4 scenes, looking at the artwork, how cute they are, and the fun little scenes that they tell, and then populating those things. And again, when 2 get done, you trigger off 4. Really fun push and pull. Managing your hand of 4 tiles, I liked that. I talked about in the overview a little bit how I really am. I thought it was fascinating that as the game goes on, the composition of your bag does change. Where the main guys here, the strongest, the cholerics, they end up on the board. They win a lot of the time early on. It's like, boom, you flip them all over. There's a single choleric in there. That's it. That scene is done. And so those make their way out of people's bags, and they happen less later in the game. So that ranking card, it starts to shift to what's more likely. I really enjoyed that.
Unless if you have everybody going high into that in the beginning, then those aren't going to win and it's going to go down. You know what I mean? And so again, that's another element of having to pay attention to it and kind of knowing what the shape of the bags are going to be.
Yes, right. There's one rule that when I taught you and I taught Tom and I taught people in the office, which I taught incorrectly. And I think the real rule, which I saw clarified online by the designer, is high garbage, Never doing that. You can't check your own tiles once you put them out.
Oh,
I'm
no,
sorry.
No.
The last thing this game needs is a memory element on top of what's going on with the sort of deduction and push your luck.
Gosh, especially those special locations.
Yeah,
because you put it out like your first or second turn, and then you have no idea oh wait, that one's getting ready to go off. Hold on, let me check the status of it.
Yeah.
No, there's no hard pass.
So I would honestly give this game easily a whole point lower, at least if that rule was not so easy to ignore.
Okay, right.
Okay, because I will not do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No. Oh, can I check what I put down? Yes, you can check it. I'm sorry, this is not going to be a memory game on top of it.
I understand not being able to check your bag. Because then at that point you're like, wait, where are my standings? What's I can get that. I can get that. I also never felt the desire to that. I'm like, I'm somewhere in this ballpark. I didn't take it that serious.
Right.
But not.
If you couldn't check,
that makes me mad.
If you couldn't check your tiles that are out there, that would get really. I'm sorry. Then memory is a big part of the game. So I'm going to ignore that. That's not, as far as I'm concerned. I'm considering that an optional rule.
I didn't know about that rule until now, so I'm going based off the game as I was taught, and I have played it all my plays.
So am I, because I do not like that rule. I think that's a terrible idea.
This game does not need memory.
Yeah, right. So I also played, by the way, I only showed you the one side, and then on the other side you have your own personal board that you're filling in. It's sort of similar, but it's, there's no map. You're completing the scenes, and then the little people mark spots on your personal board. And you're completing things like get the corners, have a little column, fill in two groups, what have you. Similar idea. And then the solo mode, which I thought was okay. Solo mode was nothing to write home about. My favorite way to play this is the way I showed you in the overview. That's the best way, in my opinion. Okay, the other two things, solo and the fiefdom, which has to be solo, has to be played in fiefdom mode, are both fine. But I think the best way is the kingdom mode.
Okay.
All right. So there we go. Anything else we want to talk about? I guess the box insert here is pretty tight. I don't like that. That's a small thing, but I'll show you. This is what the insert. I think you can see that. That goes. Yeah, there's the bags that hold the tokens go in here. And you have to really cram them up, shove them in there to put this back in this small box. I don't love that. I get that they were going for a very small footprint.
As well as I don't think that this game would need a bigger footprint. Is kind of the argument I was going to make. It's I agree, the bags are rough, but at the same time, I don't think you need a bigger footprint in this box. Yeah. So.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we do final scores here? Why don't you go ahead and jump into it?
All right. I'm going to come in at a 6 for this game.
Okay.
It's one that if somebody really liked it and they wanted to play it, if I'm in the mood, I'll play it. My first play, I bounced off pretty hard. I will say it did get better with the play. But I bounced off pretty hard because, again, I thought it was going to be that negotiation. It's like it doesn't work. And so then it kind of felt like meta, the board game. That those deduction games, those social deductions, trying to read people and apply that is not really my style. And so I bounced off pretty hard. But I will say it did get better with the repeated plays. And at the end, it was like, sure, if someone wants to play, I'm happy to teach it to them. I'm happy to play it with them. I'm probably not going to seek out plays. There's just too many things that I thought didn't come through. I really don't like the side, those special locations.
Yeah, right.
I do really like this as kind of more of a racing game. 1 to 4 wins, done, boom, it's clear. There's no scoring, there's nothing. That's one of my favorite parts of the game, is that from the beginning what your end goal is.
It's very, the 4 goals are right there.
Right.
Whoever has the most stars up there wins. That's it. Tiebreakers after that, but that's it. Yeah.
And I like that. I like that, knowing that going into it. Yeah. And so you're kind of shaping your locations based on those from the very beginning. So with that in mind, once I kind of got that strategy in mind, I did enjoy it a little bit more with the repeated plays. And so, I'm going to come in at a 6 on this one.
I'm coming in a little bit higher. I'm coming in at a 7. A 7. I find it charming. I find this game esoteric. I find it kind of weird. It has a strange theme. It feels like a passion project that somebody was fascinated by this weird literature maybe and just had to make a game about this whole 4 Humours thing. And I do like that the gameplay. I don't like everything in the game. That memory rule notwithstanding, that's a crazy idea. But there are some things in it which I find less than invigorating. But a lot of it I do find interesting. I like the scenes. I like the area control, for lack of a better term, and the trying to get in people's heads. And that sort of, has it been enough time in the game where you didn't draw one of your choleric, is that what it's called? One of your choleric tiles anymore. Yeah, I'm jumping in there with one of my hearts or one of my whatevers. I do like that feeling.
Okay.
I find it, again, kind of fascinating. This is a weird game. It is absolutely not a game that I would bring out all the time or with everybody. But I think if you were looking for a game that is kind of outside the usual, what you'd expect from a mid-weight Euro-ish, maybe. It's not even that, maybe.
Party, social deduction.
Weird. Again, if you're looking for something outside the box,
yes,
I think this is a good outside-the-box game.
In look, in gameplay, in the itch it's going to scratch, it does very much stand on its own.
Yeah, I think so. If you're someone who is a collector of games, and you enjoy the look of games, and games that just look different on your shelf, this is a good-looking, weird-looking game. I love the style, the vibe. There's some essence that emanates off this game that I find intriguing and bizarre. Not the best game ever. I'm giving it a 7. But you know what? I'd be happy to play this any old time, I think. It really is. Yeah, I can't take it too seriously, you know? It's not like my plans have been foiled. What plans? Slow your roll. There's not really a lot of plans. But I always have a good time with it, yeah. So,
and it's one of those, again, kind of deduction games that you're not going to walk away with hard feelings. Oh, you lied to me. Oh, you tricked me. Oh, you told me it was that, like and again, for that, I think it's kind of special.
Yeah. So there you go, everybody. That is 4 Humours from me. It gets a seal of approval, and hopefully it'll be something that you enjoy as well. Look into it, like I said, if it's something that is catching your eye and you have a special soft spot for these strange little games. So there you go. Thanks very much for watching. My name is Zee Garcia.
I'm Milla Cleghorn.
Enjoy being a phlegmatic. No, don't be a phlegmatic. That sounds gross.